everyone. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Let's turn that heater down there. Excuse me. Beautiful day here in Cranbrook. It's April the 2nd. Hopefully there wasn't too many pranks happening yesterday for April Fool's Day. I know my daughter, Carly, she loves April Fool's Day. So her husband, Aaron, really took the hit this year. Yeah, she did a lot of things to him, poor guy. And she even took a shallot, which is like an onion, and covered it in chocolate icing, put it in the freezer, and told her 3-year-old, or he'll be 3 today, that it was a candy. And then had him bite into it. And I mean, he thought it was sour. He ate all the icing off of it. But yeah, that was, I don't know how I feel about that one. Anyway, people, haven't talked to you guys for a little while. Just been real busy. But on my morning drive today, I think one of the things that I want to talk about today is credit. With my job at the dealership, and even with some of my affiliate positions, I see a lot of bad credit out there. Yeah, like credit cards, over limit, cell phone bills not paid. You know, they're big things that really can hurt your credit. I see it all the time. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that probably out of 10 people that come into our dealership, I would say 3 out of 10 have good credit where they can just easily get approved and buy what it is that they want. That's really concerning. You know, and this is something that they need to be teaching this stuff in schools, because young people are just not getting, they're not getting the information that they need. So, excuse me here. A little dry. Anyway, yeah, like young people, they get a cell phone. They think, oh yeah, okay, I'll pay it next month or whatever. But they don't realize that when you go over 30 days late on a cell phone, it just destroys your credit. It doesn't do absolutely anything to help your credit. It doesn't show on your bureau if you've been making all your payments. But look at that sun. Yay, the sun is joining me. It's my guest today. Anyway, yeah, cell phones are not a good thing if you are late, because they will destroy your credit. So I think that the best thing that people need to do is start budgeting. Get out a piece of paper or a book, or put it in your phone or something. Write down all the financial commitments that you have, what day they're due, and really try to, when you get your paycheck, the 1st and the 15th, say for example, what I do is on the 1st, okay, I pay everything that's due in the first half of the month, and on the 15th I pay everything right away that's due in the last half of the month. And then whatever is left over, well, that's what you get. And if you're finding that you have a lot more month left at the end of your paychecks, then it's time to start thinking about what are you going to do to have a better quality of life, to be able to meet your financial commitments. It's just so important. Oh, got a road stop here. Cleaning the bridge, they are. It's that time of year, which is super nice. But I'm seeing a big lineup on the other side, so it looks like they're gonna get to go first. That's okay. Just gives me more time to chat with you guys. Anyway, make yourself a list of your commitments, and make yourself also a list of the things that you wish that you could afford, or that you'd like to incorporate somehow into your budget. And if you're finding that you're coming up short with your money, then it's time to think about maybe doing something to earn some extra income. Excuse me. For myself, it is my affiliate marketing. I love it. There's lots of different products that I endorse. There's a few that that I actually get out there and promote on foot, take to businesses and things like that. And I absolutely love it. It's a way to make some extra income. Some of the companies I affiliate with, the earnings aren't real huge, but they add up. But what I'm trying to do with my affiliate marketing business is actually eventually get to that point where I can leave my full-time job at the dealership and just work from home. My employers are really not wanting me to go, so I know that they will excuse me, they will let me, if I want, just work when I want to when it comes to down to that time. So that will become my extra money. So I'm quite excited about that, to see that come one day. Anyway, I think it's also important that people need to, when they're examining their budget, I talked about this before, about finding hidden money that's already your own. So doing an audit of your bank accounts, like I use debit all the time and credit cards. I don't carry cash because I like points and I just like the convenience of not having cash. So doing an audit, take for example your checking account if you're a debit card user. Go through and check out all the things that the amounts of money that you're spending, just mindlessly spending. I was shocked. I did an audit of my February statement. I had $1,400 on there that I was mindlessly spending on this, that, and the other thing. Now, granted, some of those things where, I'd pop into the grocery store, run in for bread, and I'd come out with, $80 worth of groceries because I hadn't made a list. So making lists when you're shopping is really going to help cut your spending down, because you're only going to buy what you need. So I like to do that on Sundays. I will go through my fridge, my freezer, my pantry, make a list of the things that I need, go down and get our groceries, and then I'm not spending so much during the week, because I find when I pop in after work to the grocery store, I always spend way more than what I intended. So, and all this revolves around your credit. So this is all like budgeting and financing or finance. This is basically your money in, money out. That's the nitty-gritty of it. So I think that most people don't do this. Some do. Some are very diligent. I talked to a lady on the phone the other day, young woman, young family, and I was so impressed with her because she was telling me she puts everything on a spreadsheet. She's a spreadsheet person. So her husband will buy something and she's like, oh my gosh, I got to put it on a spreadsheet. She's like, oh, I know that's kind of weird. I'm like, no, that's like so good. Because you start to learn how much you're spending and you're keeping track of it, and you're able to save, because saving is a huge part of credit as well too. You want to be able to save. So back in 1999, I got bucked off a horse and I broke my femur. It was a really bad break, and I couldn't work for like 6 months, and it was not a pretty thing. I mean, I've always had good credit, and I ended up using, I think I had like 12 weeks of VI or something when I broke my leg, but that wasn't enough to cut it. So I started living off my lines of credit and my credit cards, and then I was starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, next month I might not be able to make some of these payments. So I actually went and talked to a bankruptcy trustee. I didn't want to, but I did, and I'm so glad I did, because when I saw him, he said that is what the Bankruptcy Act is for, is when bad things happen to good people. And I wasn't overspending. I was just trying to survive because I didn't have any income at all coming in. And so I was juggling and robbing from Peter to pay Paul, from one credit line to pay the next, or credit card, or whatever it was. And that's not a good thing to do. But anyway, he advised me. He said, let's throw everything onto your credit cards, and That way, the only businesses that are going to take a hit are the credit card companies. And I was very hesitant, but this was the advice that was given to me by the bankruptcy trustee. And so I did it, and I was just so relieved. But at the same time, I didn't feel really good about it. But that being said, I did it. Once I did it, I was able to start building my credit again right away. You know, I didn't have to wait 7 years. Right away, I applied to Capital One. Capital One is there's the good, the bad, and the ugly about Capital One. Their interest rates can be pretty high, their fees and stuff like that. And you pretty much got to buy your credit back when you have a bankruptcy. So I always tell people, make sure that you get a credit card that reports. So some credit cards that, that they're prepaid, that doesn't report, that doesn't help your credit. So talk to your bank or talk to Capital One. Capital One will usually give everyone like a $500 credit card so that they can start building their credit. And what you want to do is you want to rifle everything through that card. So in the beginning, when you first get it, you're going to want to wait until you get your statement before you pay it off. So that way it's reporting and showing that you've used it, you're making payments. Sometimes people get credit cards and they make a purchase. Woo, there's some bumps. They make a purchase and then they just pay it off right away. So what happens is that they never have a balance come statement time, and that doesn't help you either. So the best thing I can suggest is, instead of using that $20 cash or $20 on debit to buy your gas, run it through the credit card. Keep that money aside so that when you get your statement, you're going to pay it off. So if you go to the store and you buy milk, then you go to the store and you buy gas, and then you go and you buy a new pair of shoes. Take all that money that you would have spent buying those items, put it aside, and when you get your statement, pay it off. And then once you start doing that, rifling everything through, the credit card companies are going to love you. They'll start increasing your limits. Take them. Now, when I say take them, that's when you're first starting to build your credit. Credit card limits can also hurt you if you have too much of them. You know, if you have like $20,000 on one card and $15,000 on another, and 10 on a different one. Sometimes when you go to apply for a mortgage or something like that, they're going to look at that and go, you know what? In one day, she could rack all this up. So that's a bit of a liability. So it's always good to talk to your bank, especially if you're looking at doing a mortgage or something. Excuse me, need another drink here. And find out, we don't need $40,000 worth of credit card limits. I mean, maybe some people do. Once you start getting higher up in business, I know there's people in my affiliate business that have high limits because they're booking resorts for a conference, or they're booking hotel rooms and things like that where they need to have a substantial amount. And that's okay, because that's where they're at and they have the income to be able to do that. But basically, it's not a bad thing once in a while to make an appointment with your bank and kind of check out where you're at, see what you can do as far as savings goes, and RSPs and different things like that. But my long and short of it all today, people, is there's so many people who have bad credit out there, and we need credit. It's just unfortunately a fact of life. There's a lot of people that like to pay cash for things, and then all of a sudden, they decide they're going to buy a home. Well, they paid cash for their $50,000 truck, or cash for everything. Then when they go to buy a home, they have no credit. They haven't proven that they can, be responsible with large amounts of money. So, being a cash person has its good points and bad. But I highly recommend that, parents out there, when your kids, as soon as they're old enough, when they're 18 years old, 19 years old, whatever the legal age is in your province, is get them a credit card. Teach them how to use it. Teach them to pay their bills on time. That it is so important to not be late and go over with your credit there. But Anyway, I just got to work, and I got to go work on some things for people who have some tough credit. My team is actually really good at helping people. It's one thing I'm very proud of to work here. We don't shove people into high interest loans unless there's some light at the end of the tunnel, so that they can get out of them within 9 months to a year. So if you ever have any questions about your credit, if you have collections that are unpaid and it's showing on your bureau, pay them off. I've seen people with really bad credit who have collections who've come back to me 6 months later because they've paid them off, and bang, they're auto pop for an approval, because the credit card companies and the loan companies and things like that, they like that. They're like, wow, okay, this is a person who had a rough time, but they followed through with their financial obligations and they paid it off. So take some time. Review your finances, review your budget. This stuff does take time. You have to sit down and do it. And but it is so worth it in the very end. It's going to relieve a lot of stress for you. It's going to help you create a better life and a happier life. So anyway, people, I better get inside, and I hope everyone has a fabulous Tuesday. Let this be your transformation Tuesday. You can start transforming your credit, start transforming your life. So have fun, be safe, and as always, think good thoughts.